The media pushing conspiracy theories about Melania Trump's absence in public.
This is what the left-wing media do. They conspiracy. Leave our First Lady alone.
A service dog getting her time to shine in a middle school yearbook. Well, the Yellow Lab also has a faculty badge.
Got to worry about this band too, Outkast. You know why?
This song.
You know why? There's too many people. Like, how are they going to split them up?
You're right.
He's obsessed.
Is it only two?
He's obsessed because the band has 2 people.
Is it just 2?
Not 10.
No, isn't Outkast a big group?
Did you help them,
No, nothing to do with that.
You didn't launch their career either?
Although you would think Outkast, I'd play a role in that. I just swear, it seems to be a big band.
A lot
No,
of people
it's
in
not.
the band. Maybe
Yes.
in one music video that you saw.
Yes, maybe that was it.
Right. They have a lot of friends in one video.
All right, we have
Lighting analysis.
a huge final hour coming your way.
All right, let's start with this. It's a Fox News alert. Unfortunate Fox News alert. An intense manhunt right now for a man wanted in connection to the murder of a Tennessee sheriff's deputy.
All right, you got a $12,500 reward now being offered for Steve Wiggins. That's what he looks like, considered armed and dangerous.
Todd Pyro following the latest live from our newsroom. Todd, good morning.
Brian, Ainsley, and Pete, good morning to you as well on this horrible, horrible year for the brave men and women in blue continues. Law enforcement searching around the clock for any sign of Stephen Wiggins. And even though they haven't caught him yet, police charging him already with first-degree murder overnight. His girlfriend, Erica Castro-Miles, is behind bars, also charged with murder in the death of Dixon County Sheriff's Deputy Sergeant Daniel Baker. The 10-year veteran of the force found shot dead in his patrol car in Tennessee after responding to a 911 call about a suspicious vehicle on Wednesday morning. And we now know police have in fact been looking for Wiggins since Tuesday when his girlfriend called 911 saying he threatened to kill her and stole her car. Investigators say they won't rest until they find Wiggins.
My prayer to God that our court will be a terror to him on the punishment he receives. Our heart's shattered with this. This is one of our best deputies. He's one of the guys that puts it on the line every day to keep our community safe.
Another way he put it on the line, Daniel Baker was a Marine before becoming a deputy. The 32-year-old leaves behind a wife and a daughter. This year alone, 28 officers have been killed by gunfire alone, according to the Officer Down memorial page, not to mention the other ways officers were killed. Authorities are asking if you spot Wiggins, the suspected killer, please call 911. Back to you.
Yeah, you'll get this guy off the streets if you help out, and you get a reward. Thank you so much, Todd.
Okay.
Talk about a hate crime that should be the highest penalty possible with no possibility of parole if you kill a cop.
And this guy, gosh, he has a long rap sheet. He was previously convicted for aggravated assault, theft, vandalism, domestic assault, never showed up for his community service. There's his picture. If you know him, you know where he is today. Call police.
All right, and also, sadly, we're getting closer and closer to the number of police deaths for an entire year. Last year there was 35. We're getting closer and closer to that number now. We're up to 28. And there's a sense, and covering that police event last week on MS-13, and the officers that came to see us last week, Pat Ryder, who was the commissioner of police, he says overall there's a lack of respect for officers across the country. When they talk to other police commissioners and sheriffs, there's this sense, instead of like, oh my goodness, what did I do wrong? There's no more nervousness. There's cameras in your face every time you pull somebody over. You better not do this. I know people with a lack of respect and fear. I think you should have a respect for police. I think that's where it starts.
Unfortunately, we have to put the photo up of the guy because he's still at large, the one who did it. But the photo we really should put up is more and more is of that officer. Remember what he gave, not just service in his community, but for his country in the Marine Corps. Also, as his colleagues described him, one of the best out there who'd always be there in the most difficult moments. We salute him this morning, and I know the manhunt will be intense to find his killer.
Only 32 years old, leaves behind a wife and a daughter.
All right, let's switch gears now and talk about national politics. 5 minutes after the top of the hour. The big story yesterday was an old story that's just simmering inside the president. Jeff Sessions, the first lawmaker to side with the president when he put on the hat and said, "Make America great again. Yep. Donald Trump's my guy." The president felt very loyal to Jeff Sessions. They said, "Jeff, what position do you want?" He says, "I want to be Attorney General." And he took it. But when the Russia investigation seemed to be taking root and when he became president-elect, the question is, should he have taken that job knowing that that anybody involved with the campaign might have to recuse themselves because they're a potential subject of the investigation.
He really didn't have to recuse himself because, A, there was no collusion. If there had been collusion, though, it's not illegal. And so he didn't need to step down. He was nominated and then
but the problem is, Ainsley,
stepped down immediately.
He did not say every contact he had with the Russians. So evidently there was 2 contacts he had with Kislyak. But no benign information. But you got to put it forward, and instead Al Franken finds out about it.
Oh, how did
makes
Al Franken...
makes a national story about it? And I actually blame Jeff Sessions on this because you have a huge staff, unlike everybody else working for President Trump. All you do is tell your scheduler, find out every meeting I have with the Russians, submit it, and it's no issue.
I wonder how Al Franken found out about that too. Just saying the whole slow motion of what happened behind the scenes to try to find collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians makes its way into the hands of Al Franken and the New York Times. Well, we asked Judge Andrew Napolitano earlier in the program. He's covered this start to finish. Should Sessions have taken the job in the first place? This is what he said.
The President of the United States is entitled to an Attorney General in whom he has confidence and trust. Jeff Sessions shouldn't have accepted the job. He should have said, you know what, Mr. President, at this point, Trump is the President-elect. This is a job I've wanted all my life. I've prepared for it and I've aspired to it. But I am going to be in the middle of this Russian investigation, as illegitimate as I think it is and as you know it to be. It's going to happen, and I'm going to be a witness. So if I become Attorney General, I got to step aside from being in charge of this.
Well, and everyone we've talked to says he's a great guy. He's a wonderful person, lifelong Republican. We've had him on our show. I remember during the campaign.
Pursuing the rest of the Trump agenda otherwise?
The thing is, though, with Rosenstein being in charge, you have to remember he signed off. He was the last person to sign off on the FISA warrant. The FISA warrant, the FISA application and FISA warrant, the bulk of the information that was submitted to the FISA court was the dossier. And the guy who was responsible for the dossier, Chris Steele, he even said in British court, in a British courtroom, that maybe 50-50 of it was true. He wasn't even sure.
And critics of the president will say he can't be too cozy to his attorney general, so that would be a bad thing. Just rewind to 2013, what Eric Holder said about his relationship with Barack Obama. This is Barack Obama's attorney general. He said this in a radio interview. I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. There's still work to be done. I'm still the president's wingman, so I'm there with my boy. History has shown that attorney generals are allowed to be close to the president.
I see, Ainsley and Pete, I disagree with you a little bit on the job he's doing, because I think he's slow walking this entire investigation. All the Oversight Committee, the Judiciary Committee in the House and Senate, been asking for paperwork to get answers about what the FBI was up to during the election. He has it all there. He's slow walking all of it.
But if he's recused, does he have influence on that?
Oh, well, I mean, when it comes to an investigation, they ask the Attorney General to produce some documents. You can produce some documents. Yeah. Produce the documents.
I agree. I don't know why you wouldn't at this point. For sure.
Very frustrating. All right, let's hand it over to Jillian, who has some headlines for you.
That's right. Good Thursday morning. Let's get you caught up on some of the other stories that we're following, starting with the Fox News alert. The White House moving full steam ahead on plans for a historic summit with Kim Jong-un. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo prepping for a second day of crucial meetings with a top North Korean official right here in New York City. Pompeo sharing these photos from last night's working dinner. They're hoping to get the June 12th summit in Singapore back on track. Now to extreme weather and a desperate search for a couple swept away in a flash flood. Water rescue teams looking for the man and woman last seen standing outside their car in Lynchburg, Virginia last night. The flooding covering some roads in up to 3 feet of water. Schools in that area are closed. Today, President Trump will meet with families of Santa Fe High School shooting victims to offer his condolences and support. It comes nearly 2 weeks after the Texas massacre that left 10 dead. School safety concerns taking center stage at yesterday's White House briefing. Sarah Sanders fighting back tears when a young reporter asked about gun violence.
One thing that affects mine and other students' mental health is to worry about the fact that we or our friends could get shot at school. Specifically, can you tell me what the administration has done and will do to prevent these senseless tragedies?
There is nothing that could be more terrifying for a kid to go to school and not feel safe. So I'm sorry that you feel that way. This administration takes it seriously.
Sanders telling him the President's School Safety Commission will meet this week. A Marine's obituary takes a parting shot that pretty much all of us can probably agree with. Mixed into the tribute to the life of Robert Falcon Gibson of Virginia is this final message. It says, quote, "A native of Northern Virginia for the last 30 years of his life, he hated how all of you were incapable of driving competently." The 77-year-old will be buried at Arlington National Cemetery today. He spent nearly 30 years serving our country. I will send it back to you.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Jillian.
Shelley.
And by the way, on the shooting, the president is going to be in Santa Fe today to meet with the shooting victims and talk to that school.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, 11 minutes after the hour, the NFL says no more kneeling during the national anthem. Our next guest says the move is putting a stop to a dangerous anti-cop narrative. He'll explain.
And President Trump doesn't get upstaged very often, but this little boy, I think he stole the show.
Test during the national anthem at games, requiring players to stand or stay in the locker room if you won't. In an op-ed titled, quote, "The NFL stops indulging a dangerous narrative," our next guest writes this about the protests. "They have been used by political progressives and the mainstream media to advance a dangerous anti-police narrative at odds with the available
force by cops is down. It's down by more than 90% since the early 70s here in New York, but it's also down in Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles. It simply isn't true that cops are running around gunning for young men or young black men in particular. The data doesn't support that.
So why do you think it's taken 2 years for this story to come out, and why do you think that whole narrative has been swamped by patriotism?
Well, I think that the league was really too late in reaching this decision. I think they reached the right compromise. If players want to protest, they can do so on their own time, just not on game day right before kickoff. But what took them so long? You know, football fans have been telling pollsters for 2 years that they oppose this behavior. And I'm kind of shocked that the league took this long to reach an agreement on what to do about it.
So, Jason, you say the numbers don't add up to the disinequity of the way law enforcement treats people of color. But you believe that the way it appears on social media now, the way the body cameras are out there, it makes it appear as if there's an imbalance.
What we've seen in recent years is an increase in the coverage of these incidents. We can't mistake that for an increase in the incidents themselves. That is not what the data support. And what the false narrative here is that the police are out there and that this is racially motivated and that this is a common occurrence. Both of those are untrue. These are rare incidences. They're always tragic when they happen, but they are not commonplace. And there's no evidence that police are gunning for young black men in particular. So I'm glad that progressives will no longer have this platform in the form of the NFL to advance this false narrative. And the reason it's dangerous, Brian, is because what you're doing is creating more tension in communities where law enforcement is most needed. And by pushing this idea out there that the cops are the problem in these communities, I think you're just doing a disservice, a public disservice.
Well, in the big picture too, if that was your issue, law enforcement and inequity in the way it's put on people, it gets swamped by why are you sitting on the national anthem? No one can get past the fact that that's a flag that we're supposed to unify for, and then go to our corners. When we can't stand for the flag, you can't get your story out.
Well, again, I think that the league has reached a compromise here. They're respecting the First Amendment rights of these players and free speech and so forth. They're saying do it on your own time. Do it in your free time. You know, start foundations. Go give interviews to the media on your own time. But not on game day, not on company time should you be allowed to do this, or to somehow give the impression that the NFL is supporting what you're doing here.
So we have yet to see if the players are going to be compliant in this.
We don't know.
Because some will stay in the locker room, which is okay, that's being compliant. But if they still sit or kneel in mass,
there'll be a penalty.
And they can get fined. We don't know the number yet. Yeah. And if they're going to absorb that fine, this goes on. As Donald Trump says, and I believe the Wall Street Journal today, evidently the play-by-play of what went on behind the scenes has come forward. And Jerry Jones was saying, the president spoke to me and said, I'm on the right side on this one. The public's behind me on this one. you guys can't win this one.
Well, he's certainly right. Like I said, the polls have shown since Kaepernick first took that knee in 2016 during the preseason game, the football fans have said, no, we don't support this behavior. And the real surprise is that it's taken the league 2 years to come around to doing this. And because people turn into football to watch football, not political posturing.
Yeah, hopefully this solved it for everybody. Jason Riley, thanks so much. Thank you. All right, meanwhile, straight ahead, it sounds like something out of a spy movie. You got a journalist who was supposedly killed. He shows up alive in Russia at usually in the Ukraine at a press conference. Wait until you hear this plot twist and what he told his wife. Plus, holiday cry for Yelp. A woman is facing $1 million lawsuit for leaving a negative review. Will she have to pay up? And should you be worried? Bob Massey on deck.
Later today, they've shut down nearly 400 stores in the last 12 months. Not good for brick and mortars retail. And Walmart is offering employees a college education for just $1 a day. The company partnering with 3 schools to help workers get business or supply chain management degrees. Walmart says it's meant to improve their employees' lives and help them run a better business. Ainsley.
Okay, thank you, Pete. A negative review about a doctor might cost one patient $1 million. She is being sued after posting this review on Yelp. It said, very poor and crooked business practice. I suspect this doctor gives unnecessary procedures to a lot of people and then charges the insurance sky-high prices, and no one knows the difference. But court papers state no reasonable person would believe that the statements made therein were opinion. Let's bring in Fox News legal analyst Bob Massey. He is also the host of The Property Man. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. All right, so Bob, this shocked me. I mean, I understand this can hurt someone's business if you write a negative review.
Yes.
But something like this encourages business owners to make good decisions, to be friendly, to be nice, to be above board. So what's defamation and what is free speech in this case?
So defamation is when you make a statement to a third party, either written or spoken, slander and libel, which causes some type of ridicule or embarrassment to that person. Now, let's say, Ainsley, she posts something that says, I went to see this doctor, his bedside manner wasn't that good. You know, just be prepared if you see him, he's very good at what he does, but his bedside manner is not good. That's really an opinion. Now, when you start crossing the line and questioning the person's business techniques, basically there's an innuendo that maybe he doesn't have good business practices, that gets into disparagement. And as a result of that, she crossed the line. But in defamation, Ainsley, truth is an absolute defense. So let's say the statement she made is true and they could prove that, then she's not going to be found responsible for defamation. But the moral of the story is, don't say what you think all the time because it gets you in trouble.
Yeah, we learned that in media law. Truth is your best defense. Well, she says, she said the doctor charged her $1,300 for a new patient visit and for an ultrasound. She had to pay $427 out of pocket, and she said her annual was supposed to be free. And she said that the doctor claimed he gave a pelvic and breast exam, even though he didn't. So we'll have to figure out, I guess, through the courts, what was truth and what was not. So should a negative Yelp... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you were going to ask me the question. I'm sorry.
Should it cost her $1 million?
Well, I don't think it's going to cost her that kind of money because, remember, the doctor in this case, he's not a public figure. Public figures, they have to prove malice. Now, as it relates to the doctor, he's going to have to prove some type of actual damages. Did he lose business as a result of it? Can he show he lost business? So in the long run, I don't know what the cost is going to be. And this is a type of case many times, Ainsley, that goes into mediation where they may get it resolved. But I think for all of us as viewers, most of the time what happens, you have a bad experience, you go to Yelp, you write an emotional response, and unfortunately the average layperson doesn't understand that words in my world can cost you money. And in this case, this doctor is going to have a heck of a lot more money to prosecute this case than this young woman's going to have, and I don't mean to be presumptuous, to defend the case.
Yeah, it's already cost her $20,000. Thanks so much, Bob. All right, you can catch his show Friday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on FBN on Fox Business Network. Thanks, Bob. Prepare for action. That warning sparking panic across an entire state, but we just learned it was a false alarm. How does that happen? And First Lady Melania Trump firing back at the media after they pushed conspiracy theories about her disappearing from the public eye. Keep in mind she just had surgery. Dana Lash is here to react to that next.
I love it when you go crazy. You take all my inhibitions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. You take me places that tear up my reputation, manipulate my decisions. Baby.
If I looked like that, I would have been president 10 years earlier. If I had that face, if I had that head of hair, I would have been president so long ago. That's great.
That is your shot of the morning, and that's Jordan McClin, the president was referring to, stealing the show as the president signs the Right to Try bill. He's dealing with muscular dystrophy, got out of a wheelchair to stand next to the president as he signed that bill.
He's 8 years old. He's from Indianapolis, and you can clearly see that he got a hug and a kiss from the president on his forehead.
That's right. The bill is partially named after Jordan, who, as Brian said, suffers from a form of muscular dystrophy. This bill allows terminally ill patients to try experimental treatments, hence the right to try. You've seen places, especially in the UK, with socialized medicine, where the government tells you can or can't do something. They're trying to prevent that.
Like the little babies who are, they're pulling the plug on the babies when
That's
the parents want to take them to another country and the hospital won't allow it.
Yeah. Don't want that here in America. Well, let's bring in Dana Lash, nationally syndicated radio talk show host. Dana, good morning. Thanks very much for being here. So yesterday, there was a summit with a Kim. It just wasn't Kim Jong-un. It was Kim Kardashian. She was at the White House. Here's what the president tweeted about their meeting. He said, great meeting with Kim Kardashian today. Talked about prison reform and sentencing. But the media took a sideways view of it, Dana. We're going to play two clips. Jim Acosta of CNN likes being on TV. This is what he said about Kim Kardashian's visit at the White House. Listen.
Forget about the fact that Kim Kardashian is here at the White House today and what planet that is anything resembling normal, because it's not. She shouldn't be here talking about prison reform. It's very nice that she is here, but that's not a serious thing to have happened here at the White House.
She shouldn't be there. He was singing a different tune in 2015, and thanks to the magic of videotape. This is Jim Acosta talking about John Legend when Obama was president.
I'm going to push the president to get more involved in criminal justice reform. I'm going to suggest some ideas that we think could help improve the situation.
If you change your mind about running for office, give CNN the scoop.
I will. I will.
A little bit of different tune there, Dana.
Yeah, it's a hugely different tune, bigly, because this is Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta's a partisan. He doesn't hide the fact that he's a partisan. I just wish that people would stop unnecessarily hammering the administration, even on things they know they agree on or things that they know aren't that big of a deal, but they do it anyway because it's Trump. And this idea, well, she shouldn't be there. I can't believe he actually said those words. Every single person in the United States, be they a famous person or not, has the right, and they have, if they can meet with the president. They can go to Washington, D.C. That's what makes the United States different from Britain, is because we don't have like a special nobility class here. You don't have to be a special person to engage in policy discussion, whether you're John Legend or Kim Kardashian. But it's so fascinating how much they gave, how big of a pass they gave to the previous administration just because it was Barack Obama and Democrats.
He knows the president, picked up the phone. That's part of it. And the president's got a relationship with Jay-Z. He's going to be able to go back and forth and maybe get some influence there. That's a part of it. You can't have it both ways.
No, you can't. Beyonce was a huge figure in the previous administration. I mean, how many times did they visit the White House? And how many times did she partner up with the First Lady on a number of different initiatives? And then, you know, you had the jazz nights at the White House, the blues nights at the White House. You had U2 that was at the White House. I mean, so this has happened. The previous administration was the celebrity administration. It was the Hollywood administration. They loved and they bragged about the fact that they were so close to celebrities. Where was Jim Acosta's whining then?
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about Melania, too. The media is going after Melania for not being out in public since the middle of May. Where is she? Keep in mind, she just had surgery. These are some of the headlines. Time magazine says Melania Trump tweets she's feeling great. She hasn't been seen publicly in weeks. CNN says Melania Trump hasn't appeared in public for 20 days. Mercury News, missing Melania Trump. The First Lady tweets she's feeling great, but mystery remains. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, she's had surgery. The White House was very forthright about the procedure that she had done. They were very forthright about how she was going to recover and where she was going to recover. I mean, we're not at Hillary Clinton levels of conspiracy with our health here. So I think that the media needs to maybe perhaps chill out a little bit. I mean, she's on Twitter. She's still tweeting. She's still active. In fact, I think she responded to the media just this morning. But again, it's the hypocrisy. This is why conservatives get so aggravated. They get aggravated at media hypocrisy because Hillary Clinton, if she falls down in the street and leaves a shoe behind and conservatives ask questions about it, they're called conspiracy theorists and fearmongers and that they're attacking Hillary Clinton and that we're sexist. But then with something like this, the media is hounding Melania Trump. I mean, she's not a hostage. She's the First Lady. She had a procedure done. They were open about it. Lay off.
She tweeted about it. She said, I see the media is working overtime speculating where I am, what I'm doing. Rest assured, I'm here at the White House with my family, feeling great, working hard on behalf of children and the American people.
Yes, exactly. And here's legacy media that's once again trying to find a conspiracy where there is none. If they only were this attentive during the previous administrations, I would have loved to have seen media work this hard then.
Yeah.
Well, and even if even if she didn't want to come out, is it anyone's business what she's doing? I mean, she's not the president.
Well, she's not. I mean, you're absolutely right, Ainsley. She's not. But even then, they've been entirely forthright about it. They've said exactly what it is that she had done and how she was going to recover. And I mean, it's amazing that the media is so obsessed with this. Are they going to send Bob Mueller after Melania Trump? Is that what's going to happen next? Is Bob Mueller going to add this to his witch hunt list?
They might as well toss it in. Yeah. To the probe.
Hey, Dana Lash, thanks so much.
I mean, at this point, right? Everything's fair game.
Yeah.
True. Thank you guys so much.
Dana.
Have a good week.
You too.
All right, we're going to toss it over to Jillian Mealy.
Sometimes you just don't feel like going outside, you know? Good morning to you guys.
Especially after surgery.
Exactly. Good morning to you at home. America's longest war could finally be coming to an end. A top U.S. commander in Afghanistan now revealing that secret talks are underway with high-ranking Taliban leaders. Their goal? To negotiate a peaceful end to the 17-year war.
A number of channels of dialogue have opened up between the various stakeholders in the peace process,
including loosening the rules of engagement. Back from the dead, a Ukrainian reporter shocking everyone when he appeared alive at a news conference just one day after he was reportedly shot and killed. So here's what happened. The Ukrainian government actually staged the death to foil a real-life murder plot against the journalist who had criticized the Kremlin. Not even his wife knew. A man involved in the alleged Russian plot to kill him is under arrest. A civil emergency in this area. Prepare for action. An official now apologizing for that alert, which sparked panic in Salem, Oregon. The incomplete message was supposed to let people know about toxins in the water supply. It took 31 minutes to clear up the glitch with a follow-up message, but people were already stripping water from store shelves. It comes months after Hawaiian officials sent a false emergency warning of an incoming missile. Just take a look at this photo, a really touching photo of a police officer comforting a newborn baby that's now going viral. That's Dallas officer Donald Boyce holding baby Jackson moments after he was pulled from an overturned car. The officer's fatherly instincts immediately kicking in, bouncing and singing to the little boy. Boyce says he would want someone treating his child the same way. No one in the car crash was seriously hurt. Isn't that a beautiful photo?
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Jillian.
Yeah. Thanks, Jillian. Appreciate it. All right.
Talk about beautiful.
You took it from me. You took it from me.
Yes, you are, Janice.
Oh, my gosh. That's the best compliment of the day. You know what? Today is National Smile Day, and I have all these big smiles for you to take a look at. Ed is going to show you this great crowd. Give me your biggest smile, everybody, for National Smile Day. Good job. What ambassadors right here. Let's take a look at the maps while we're looking at these beautiful smiles. And you know what, producers? We could actually do a split screen of all these amazing people and The current temperature, 65 here in New York. There we go. Smile, everybody. You're on television. You're on Fox and Friends. Look at this lovey. Okay, first of all, we have showers across the eastern seaboard and the potential for severe weather. And let's talk to her. What's your name?
Kendall.
Where are you from?
Florida.
Is this your first trip to New York?
Yes.
What do you think of the weather?
Good.
Give me your best smile for National Smile Day, right there.
Cheese! Nicely done, everybody. Woohoo!
We love New York. We love Fox and Friends. We love you, Kendall. You're welcome. Back to you.
You found a cutie.
Yes, you
Well
did.
done.
Thanks, Janice. Thanks, Kendall.
Well, the media puts out a lot of narratives about Republicans, but this one really stands out.
Men especially are all programmed a certain way. They don't have too many outliers, Republicans. They all behave basically the same, right?
Turns out there's a Republican checklist, according to him. Your emails are pouring in, and we're bringing it to you next.
Plus, you saw them talking politics earlier, and now Diamond and Silk are about to make a dessert for us. We are cooking with friends coming up.